Only one thing worse than a dragon. Americans.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Hey kids, welcome to Grumpy Nostalgia, the Second Look Cinema podcast, the show where we go back to that blockbuster new release wall of our memory, grab a copy off that shelf, we put it in our VCR, and we see what time has done to it. I'm Justin, that's Mike.
All right.
And that's Molly.
Hello.
And together we're all here to help you navigate all the landmines littered down memory lane.
Gonna finish it.
So we got Molly back, Mike. Molly, how are you?
Yay!
Doing good.
Been way too long. That's on us. We're sorry.
Been a while. All right.
For those of you maybe listening for the first time, Molly's been a contributor to the show for years now, right, Mom?
Yeah, we're going on like 2 years off and on. Yeah. Every so often I'll crop in and weigh in on something.
Yeah. So we're big fans of Molly. Molly's a really critical part of Grumpy Nostalgia Industries, Mike, because she plays a unique role in the infrastructure for our podcast. Because as you may have ascertained through listening to us through the years, we have something we've called the Y2K conundrum, and it's a mantra of the Grumpy Nostalgia that we feel that as old guys, about the year 2000 was the time that we got left behind by Hollywood, and film started catering more towards Molly's demographic, the millennials, so to speak. Oh. But we always felt that Molly's perspective was important to bring into the show because she's everything we're not, Mike. She's young, attractive, energetic, got a good outlook on life. So
she's got it going on.
Yeah, we value
something like that.
So in order to break her down into something more like us, we decided we want Molly to pick a movie this week. And we wanted her to pick one from her quote-unquote generation of films. She picked a movie we're all very excited about, and that's going to be 2002's Reign of Fire.
Yes, dragons. Love it.
Choice.
First of all, Molly, what were you thinking there?
What was I thinking? It
was better than Dragonheart.
Yeah.
I never saw Dragonheart. I remember seeing the commercials for it and thinking it looked terrible.
Yeah.
But I saw this movie probably about 2005, and that was the last time I saw it.
Okay, fair enough. All right, well, people love movies about dragons, especially since the latter series with the Game of Thrones stuff and all that. And we learned how to train them, and we learned how to do all kinds of stuff with dragons now. So this is probably set the tone for a lot of that stuff. So, Mike, Molly, what do you say we just get started?
Let's do it.
Let's go.
All right, so this was directed by a guy named Rob Bowman, who we know from the X-Files movie. He's done a lot of TV, mostly guys, but he did the movie Elektra. Yeah, so that trajectory kind of took care of that for him. It was written by a couple of guys, Greg Shabbat and Kevin Paterica. This is the lone film they had written. It was also supervised by the head writer here, Matt Greenberg, who wrote 1408, the Stephen King novella short story that was adapted, I think, later in the 2000s, which wasn't too bad. And he also did the 2019 version of Pet Sematary, which was, not good is the word.
Yikes.
It had a $60 million budget. It was released in the busy summer of 2002 on July 12th.
It was a summer release, okay.
Yeah, so the team had some off-site meetings this week kind of trying to discuss this film, and there's not a whole lot to talk about, so we're going to have to make up a lot of stuff on our own. But, Mike, what we do know set in stone is the cast for this film, at least. So maybe you could walk us through who the principal players were, Mike.
Oh, wow. We have a testosterone-filled cast. Just pre-emergent kind of superstars. You got a pre-300 Gerard Butler, whose career has fallen a bit since the peak of his success. Hopefully get that pun. He plays Creedy, who's a friend, a very Scottish friend of Quinn.
Welcome to All Things Scottish. Our slogan is, if it's no Scottish, it's crap!
Who's played by Christian. Quit walking by my lighting while I'm doing a scene with Bryce.
Hey, it's f***ing distracting having somebody walking up behind Bryce in the middle of the f***ing scene. Give me a f***ing answer!
Bale.
That's a good one.
He's our main protagonist. He's kind of a passive-aggressive leader until he isn't character.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because he's challenged by a fellow actor who can deflate his body to fit a role. the star of our show, Matthew all right, McConaughey.
Yes.
He plays a bald militia leader who may or may not be nuts. And he
he's
can
nuts.
chomp his cigar about as well as he chomps the scenery. And he's joined by his fellow lady helicopter pilot, Alex, played by Izabela Skorupko, a Polish actress who was a former Bond girl. I had to look it up.
That's right, yeah.
She's kind of dressed down in this movie, though, guys. She's wearing coveralls the whole movie, so don't get too excited. Although I will say the lack of romance in this movie is kind of refreshing, especially
big plus, yeah.
You want to see dragons. You don't want to see, Isabella and outside of her coveralls. So that's pretty much your main cast right there, is those four.
All right, well, thank you very much, Mike. Oh, very inclusive. Appreciate that, especially the fact that you think men just want to see her naked and not interested in her talent. But
well, did you see Goldeneye?
Good point. Never mind. All right, so let's talk about some notes from the movie. There aren't a lot here. I think Molly helped me do a little research, but you talked about the body morphing that these two actors have done in their career. Christian Bale originally played this very gaunt. He wanted to be very thin. Maybe not as thin as his previous role where he was
machinist,
where he was like 8 pounds.
Yeah.
So he kind of went gaunt, thinking that this character would not have a lot of food and was,
Yeah.
Then McConaughey shows up, completely buff,
jacked to the gills.
Buff McConaughey.
So he said he hit the weight room pretty extensively and probably put on like 40 pounds in 3 days. That could knowing his commitment. So, but yeah, so that was cool. That signature look that McConaughey has, that bald head, that was of his own choosing. He actually felt his hair was thinning, and he was going to get some hair therapy there. So he just shaved his head, and he walked in.
Did he go to the hair club for men?
I think so, Mike. But he just walked in like that, and they said, "Okay, that's it. That's the look." So there you go. So that was all kind of organic, kind of natural.
Amazing.
Yeah. When they were pitching this movie prior in pre-production, Arnold was the big sell. This was supposed to be an Arnold Schwarzenegger vehicle.
Oh.
Yeah, and
I did not know that part.
Of course, and they used him for financing to get people to invest, but sadly, he pulled out. So, Molly, every movie you do with us has some sort of Arnold connection, one way or the other.
It does. Why is that?
I don't know. Kind of creepy, but that's how they got a lot of the $60 million to help finance this film. They cut some corners by not shooting this in London. They shot it in Ireland. I'm sure Mike noticed that right away because that's what he does.
Well, Northumberland looks like that without the apocalypse. So, I mean, it could have been Northumberland, but it was
yeah,
it was almost too nice.
So that's all I could really find about this movie, and that's kind of the problem. I guess we'll get to that here at the end when we kind of discuss the film. Molly, did you have any luck finding out anything else behind the scenes or trivia about this that I didn't see?
Oh gosh. Well, I did see that they had to quit shooting at some point because of foot and mouth disease. Like there was some kind of foot and mouth disease outbreak, and they're like, okay, you have like 7 days to finish shooting this nighttime section where we burn the castle or something like that. And then they're like, you got to get out of here. But everybody just kind of, glanced over that. They didn't go into much detail. They were just like, oh yeah, foot and mouth disease was rampant at the time.
No biggie.
Cool.
Well, you're a homesteader. What does that mean? What does that even mean?
Foot and mouth disease. It is a disease that certain ungulates, usually sheep and cattle and deer, can get, and it's devastating. I mean, it'll kill entire swaths of livestock. But it's transmitted by like saliva and stuff like on the ground. Yeah. So you can walk across an area and then it spreads like on your shoes. Wow. So, right. And I can't remember, there's certain types of foot and mouth that people can get. I think the type that cattle get, I can't remember if there's human to animal crossover, but anyway, it's a big deal. And it'll spread to the wild animals. So anyway.
Molly, if you didn't know, you just could have said.
Yeah. I know a little bit about it.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. All right. So speaking of foot and mouth and other diseases, some other films that were out prevalent in theaters that time. This came out on the 12th, along with the movie Road to Perdition, which is another interesting film. I think it was adapted from a graphic novel. So these came out on the same weekend. Prior to this, on July 3rd, you had Men in Black 2. Some would argue a less than stellar sequel to Men in Black. The following weekend after Reign of Fire, you had K-19, The Widowmaker, which was not a bad film. Catherine Bigelow film.
A pretty good film,
pretty good movie. Another Harrison Ford movie.
Mhm.
The weekend after that, we had Austin Powers in Goldmember.
I love gold.
Which is about, they should call it Austin Powers Jumped the Shark because that's about what it did. So that wasn't that good.
Yes.
Still a memorable performance by Travolta here. So that was the landscape in 2002. The top box office that year, of course, was The Two Towers. And Beautiful Mind won Best Picture that year. So that was the film landscape. We like to talk about music whenever we talk about nostalgia. So that's we got to talk about that now. So the number one song on the pop charts the week this movie came out was Complicated by Avril Lavigne.
Levine.
Yeah. You had the number two song was Hot in Here by Nelly. Everybody knows that song, Mike.
Gotta take off all your clothes.
Yeah, there we go. The next song was. I feel like I need to go to church and have a shower after this list, but I Need a Girl Part 2 was the number 3 song. This is, of course, P. Diddy and Genuine, Mike.
Oh, wow.
Yikes.
How about is R. Kelly there too?
Hold on, I'm not done. It was featuring Loon, Mario Winans, and Tammy Ruggieri. So you remember that one, Molly, right?
Part 2. She remembers part 1, but not part 2.
Part 1.
Well, here's ironically number 4 song was Part 1 by P. Diddy and Genuine, but this featured Usher instead, guys. So
even better.
Much more important. How do you have a song in 2 parts? But I don't know. I don't get it. But that's what was going on then. And then number 5 song was Papa Don't Preach, but not Madonna, guys. This was Kelly Osbourne's cover of Papa Don't Preach.
So that made the top 10. Wow.
Yeah. So I haven't heard any of these songs. That's not a complaint, just an observation.
You think Ozzy Osbourne would actually preach to her though about doing something bad?
Yeah. How dare he?
Kind of loses his punch when you know who is singing it.
Yeah. What could Ozzy? What perspective?
Ozzy? What moral stand could Ozzy take? You know,
like. Don't do drugs. Okay, never mind. Don't have sex. Okay, don't do that. Don't
bite the head off a bat.
Don't worship don't worship the devil. Okay, never mind. Ozzy, bless his heart, as they say. Some other things going on in 2002 we just might want to touch on. An asteroid missed hitting the Earth by about 75,000 miles. So a close call there.
Oh, close one.
Yeah, better luck next time, I say. The average web surfer would spend about 46 minutes a day online back then. About 9% of the population was web surfing we called it back then.
Mm-hmm.
And 39 minutes of that was waiting for it to actually connect.
Yes, exactly. Yep. Yeah, that's a good point, Mike. So it would take about 16 seconds back then with the best cable connections for a page to even load. And it would take about 13 minutes to download a 4-minute song. So yeah, not too bad.
Surprised it was that short.
Yeah. Gas was only $1.61 back then, so not too terrible. On June 11th, we were graced with the premiere episode of American Idol, fortifying America's cultural impact on the world. You could get a Taco Bell burrito for 69 cents back then.
Nice.
They're $1.49 today. But the good news about there, the diarrhea you get is still free. So there you go. eBay bought PayPal this year, making Mark Cuban a billionaire. So
thank you, eBay.
We wouldn't have Shark Tank without that guy, guys. But so speaking of dangerous predators, we're going to talk about dragons. And so Molly picked this one. We were pleased. She gave us a great list. This is probably the best. I want to do all 5 of the movies Molly's picked, but this one just felt relevant at the time. So we just want to give this one the shot. So we've got Molly back in the chair. Mike, we're in the theater. We spent $3.50 on our tickets. We got Molly with us, ready to go.
Touchstone Pictures, Justin. Touchstone.
Touchstone presents. All right, Mike, if you would please hit the button. So our movie kind of opens up in the dirty, grungy present day, I think Manchester, and we follow this little boy Quinn.
Yep. He's in London.
Is it London?
Yeah, this is
that's
right.
This
is the only authentic part of the movie is because at that time they were working on the Docklands subway station. It was like it's a tram in the southeastern part of London, and right around 1999 they were working on it. So this was kind of cool. They actually connected that in. Because they were actually digging deep underground there, right next to the river.
You know, I seriously resent the fact that you two sound like you've researched for the show, and
No research here.
Yeah. Okay.
You've
All
heard me
right.
do most of the people listening have heard me do the cast. They kind of know, they throw the research part
All
out the
right. Fair
window.
enough. All right.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I do have a fun background catch at this point because there's a sign that he walks past as he's going onto the construction site that says Sisk Construction,
Oh,
which
wow.
Sisk is our last name, my husband and I's last name. And he has family that have been there in Cork, Ireland since
Wow.
like 1859. But they build like everything in Ireland, the UK, and like parts of the European Union.
That's
So,
cool.
a fun little background catch right there.
You guys haven't unearthed any dragons in the family history, nothing like that yet?
Uh, not yet, but they've also like we don't talk to that
Oh,
side of the family
fair
apparently,
enough. Well,
so
cool.
maybe they have. They just haven't told us.
So we're following this kid going through London, and he's going to see his mom, who works in a construction site there as a miner. He goes down to see her, and oddly gets propositioned by a worker to go peek around the corner. Um, so he does, and he sees something moving, and he gets this like chemical spit in his face. And I remember the first time I saw this, is like, okay, this is kind of a cool element. And it turns out that those are chemicals that the dragons spew from their glands
Hmm.
that cause fire. And it turns out that this project they're
Yeah.
digging has unearthed this dragon's lair, and this giant. You don't see the dragon here. The
Ooh.
reveal's not here yet, but you see the scales kind of crawling up, and his mother, pulls him inside the elevator up, and they try to beat the fire coming up, and of course she crashes and gets killed, and that kind of fades to black, and that's a great preamble, and then the credits here are kind of
Great dragon.
expository, and I really like when movies like this do this because it's an ingenious way to kind of get on with things. But through the credits, we learn that the dragons have kind of populated the planet. The male has. I don't know where the females came from, but we'll get to that here at the end. But the dragons come over and they feed on ash, and it's basically just a mass extinction event.
Burn
They kind of come
everything.
over and just take out because our best weapons can't take them out, and nuclear weapons just help them survive better. So we get to get the infamous 12 years later thing, and it opened up in 2020, guys. So the movie opens up 5 years ago, which I love when movies do
Yeah.
that. But the grown-up Quinn here is now played by Christian Bale, and he's leading a small group of survivors that are living in this castle in the English countryside. They have a small off-site farming community that they're trying to develop, and there's a small band of this crew that wants to go out and get more food because they're starving. And against Christian Bale's judgment, in the long sad history of people not listening to Christian Bale in movies, they decide to go out because the plants haven't germinated yet, but they're desperate for food, and they go out there, and of course they're spotted by the dragon, and that's where you get the first reveal, which is CGI here is pretty impressive, and yeah, it looked great.
I think it looks great.
The color palette was really kind of
Hmm.
maudlin. I don't think there was any color in this film whatsoever. Maybe that was the point.
Blue and green. Those are your own choices.
Dragon kind of burns up the fields and kills, majority of the party that goes out to pilfer food, and we got a problem. That's big trouble because now this colony's stranded without food. Um,
Stupid Eddie.
Stupid
Hmm.
Eddie. But of course, as they're trying to figure out what to do here, enter Van Zandt and the Kentucky Irregulars, which is I think a punk band I saw at
Yes.
Peoria in 1992. But this is Van Zandt is played by Matthew McConaughey. And they're Americans, and they make sure that you know that they're Americans. They had come to England,
I kind of hand wave that part. It's not important. They're there.
but they're dragon fighters, guys, and they had made their way to Europe, and we
Dragon
found out
slayers.
their hidden motive here because they've got aspirations to kill the main dragon, which they have always suspected is London, but we'll get there in a second.
Yes.
They've got an interesting method, and I think there's a great set piece here after they kind of get brought into the colony again against Christian Bale's better judgment. They have a great methodology about killing these dragons, and I wish they would have fleshed this out more because this scene could have been
Hmm.
so much. But one of the best parts of the movie, Molly, was for me was the aerial scene where
Yep.
they had this methodology where they parachute out of this helicopter,
Hmm. And
and
triangulate with
yeah,
the beacons and yeah.
yeah, and they had I don't know how many minutes they said they had, but their nickname for all these divers were like the three
Archangels. Yeah.
archangels.
Yeah.
But they essentially just dive bomb the dragon with a net, and they snare the dragon in midair, and the dragon crashes.
And it's happened in every movie where they're successful 200 times before this, but of course they fail on this attempt.
Yeah, I was kind of bummed about it because I really wanted to see. I thought it would have been so much more powerful to see them take down that dragon in that first scene because that would have like I don't know, it might have been better for the plot. But I think they just kind of ran out of time, and I think that was a problem with this movie. The pacing was a little weird. So that scene was really interesting. Winner, regardless of the winner, I thought was really cool. They end up killing the dragon, but it takes out like three of their divers.
Stupid Piscatella.
Yes.
Piscatella.
So, that colony that's living in that castle hadn't had anything to be happy about for a long time. So they take the opportunity for this dragon getting killed to throw a big party. And Matthew McConaughey is not too happy about that. And he lets them know about it. But they had this theory, these Kentucky irregulars, that the male dragon is like the alpha, and all the other dragons they've ever seen on the planet are female, and they suspect that this thing hibernates over a certain amount of time, and they link it to like I think Molly they linked it to like mass extinction events in the past, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the dinosaurs were killed by the dragons, and that layer of ash is there to support that, which I thought scientifically was kind of cool. But so they had this suspicion that the male lives in London, and that's why they're actually there. They were looking for volunteers for people in this colony to go with them to London to attack this dragon, and then that doesn't happen. So they just start. That turns into a draft. They start drafting people, conscripting people to go. There's this great scene where McConaughey and Christian Bale have this fight, and it's from what I've read, and Molly, maybe you saw the same kind of research. When they had this fight, it's real. Like a lot of a lot of these blows landed, especially the headbutt to the face there. That was real.
That was real.
And I think these guys probably wouldn't have it any other way. But
damn method actors.
Yeah, exactly. They get it. There's their share of people, and then the irregulars head off to London. But they don't go very far, right, Molly? They get about halfway there, and then they all get taken out. And the dragons kill most of their party, and then make their way back to the castle for good measure, and kill a good chunk of including co-star here Gerard Butler, who we didn't talk about a whole lot, but he was the guy that wasn't going to make it this movie.
He's the
comic
goose.
relief.
He's the goose from Top Gun.
He was Goose.
Yep.
He's going down. It's just a matter of time.
They kind of put themselves in a safe room and close everything up, and then the fires hit, and everybody outside the doors gets killed. And they're kind of left there, and then they hear someone knocking on the door, and it turns out that McConaughey comes back to let those guys out. And by this time, Christian Bale has had his dragons on a plane moment. He's had enough of these dragons. So he decides to join up with McConaughey and Isabella, and they make their way to London a little more clandestinely. Now it's a stealth mission, and I love how they pull out. They have all this great weaponry, right? These great big harpoons and catapults and nets, but they end up using like a little crossbow bolt with the
C4 tipped arrows.
Yeah. So who would have thought? Like the U.S. military didn't think of that, back in whatever 2002 or whatever. But so they know where the male is, and of course, obviously Christian Bale does, because that's how he got into the story in the first place. So they clandestinely make their way into London, and the film's finale is just this kind of weird cat and mouse where they're trying to lure the dragon into an area where they can make the shot.
I like how the dragon has like Terminator vision.
Right?
Yeah, again, another Molly staple. Everything we talk about has heat vision, which I thought was kind of contradictory because they made a big point of talking about how dusk and dawn were the time to kill these dragons.
Golden hour, yeah.
Yeah, they couldn't see very well. That monologue he has about that first kill in the plains of Kansas. I thought was a fantastic speech, but they should have shown that stuff again.
Yep.
I don't know how there's a golden hour when every day is cloudy and dusky from all the fires. There's no golden hour. I mean, especially
like
in
nuclear
London,
winter all the time.
Yeah, it's just the same light, level the whole day.
It was like Tim Burton's Gotham the whole time. So yeah,
seriously.
So anyway, there's big finale where they try several failed attempts to get the shot off. The best attempt is McConaughey's on top of a building. He shoots his bolt. It misses. And rather than just reload or try again, he just decides to go kamikaze on the thing. And there's this great scene where he jumps
Epic
off the
death.
tower with his giant battle axe to no avail. He gets chomped and eaten. And I was just crestfallen that he didn't make it, but that's how it works. And then it ends up the dragon makes ground fall, and then he's after Scorupco, and Christian Bale pops around the corner and makes the shot right into the dragon's mouth, and the dragon explodes. And that's kind of your movie. There's a little denouement at the end where they show the colony kind of building some radio towers outside the castle, and they allude to the fact they hadn't seen any dragons in 3 months. And it was implied that the dragons were nearing the end of their cycle. They were cannibalizing each other. They had kind of consumed all the resources on Earth, and there was time to start over. But
Yeah, there was a lot of hand waving, you know what I mean, like in the script.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, this happened. Okay. Yeah, that happened. You know, I mean, it's effective in a way, but sometimes it's like, okay, that's some information. You know, but anyway, we'll get to that, I guess.
But they get some radio signals from the French, of course, and
Of course.
they kind of end the movie with that.
You know the French know how to hide really well.
You cheese-eating surrender monkeys!
Oh, too soon, Mike.
Too soon.
Very good.
There you go.
All right, so let's talk awards and accolades. So a bit of a disappointment at the box office. Only pulled in about 16 million. Only made about a $43 million domestic haul. Did a little better internationally at about 82 million. No significant awards or accolades. It did get the Saturn Award nomination for Best Film, but it lost to The Two Towers.
I mean,
Yeah, it did win the Rondo Hatton Award for Best Genre Film. I didn't know that was a thing. For those that aren't
Never
familiar
heard of that
with
one.
Rondo Hatton, Rondo Hatton was a character actor from the 50s that had this grotesque wrestler appearance, right, Mike? He was just kind of looked like the guy from the Goonies.
Yeah, it was kind of like what was it? What's that one of Lon Chaney Jr. in? And he's kind of modeled after that guy. I forgot the name of the movie, but he's like a real beastly kind of just grotesque giant.
A brute.
A brute, the brute man. Yeah,
There you go. But other than that, not a whole lot of accolades for this film whatsoever. So we should have more to talk about for this movie, I think. I think it leads itself to lampooning to some degree, and we're going to cut loose here in a minute. But from an artistic level, everything was technically done right in this film. It just didn't seem to capture any kind of audience whatsoever. Even on subsequent viewings and with popularity of Dragons now, not a whole lot of people talk about this film in any way. But let's see if we can't parse that out with our grumpy meter. So this is the part of the podcast, which is kind of the premise of the show. We go back and review a movie we watched as younger film goers, and kind of rewatch it again as grumpy old jerks, Molly notwithstanding, to understand how our viewpoint has changed on these films with a different point of view, a different perspective. So we're going to be gentlemen. Let Molly go first here. But Molly, talk about the first time you saw this, and what triggered you, and then talk about your assessment on the second time of your review for this show, and what changed one way or the other.
Yeah. Oh gosh. It's probably about 2005, I guess, when I saw it, and it was definitely one of those movies that was like in a regular rotation at our house. Like we would see it probably once every couple months or so. But I didn't remember hardly any of it. Like I went and rewatched it, and there were certain lines I remembered, but the actual movie itself, the plot, I had no recollection of it whatsoever. So it was like watching the movie again. But I think the reason why I didn't remember any of that is because like the visuals are really good. I feel like the idea for the story is really good.
Totally.
But yeah, like very original. Like the dragons look incredible, especially it's like this is 2002. I think they look better now than a lot of stuff nowadays looks.
Yeah.
But there was just a little too much like alluding to things. They would bring up a story or they'd bring up a topic or a potential storyline, and it would either get wrapped up too quickly or not wrapped up at all sometimes, or they would mention something like, for example, at one point they're like, oh, the dragons only eat ash. But then it's like, so why are they eating people and then cannibalizing each other? Like there was just some stuff that like didn't flow well, I guess. So it's one of those things where I'm like, I feel like it could have been really good, and it just didn't quite gel. completely
Yeah,
at the end.
that's a good
You
way to
know?
talk. That's a good way to put it. Just something's
Yeah.
missing. Yeah.
Something's missing. And I still, to this day, I can't quite put my finger on it because
Yeah.
the acting is really good. The special effects are fantastic. It looks great.
Yeah.
Pacing is just weird.
Yeah.
And sometimes the dialogue and some of the storyline is just like, this just doesn't, it's not
Yeah.
quite compelling enough yet.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it speaks to the House of Cards concept for a film. Like it's so hard
Yeah.
for a movie to be good because you can do just about everything right, but if
Mhm.
one critical aspect's not done,
Yeah.
it'll disqualify all those other things and make it
Make it forgettable,
bad, or even worse,
unfortunately.
forgettable. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Mike, maybe you have a different take on it. What's your spin?
Did you ever see a movie called The North Avenue Irregulars? I had Edward Herman in it. I don't know why I thought of that.
Sadly, I know what you're talking about.
Okay, good. I watched this the first time at your house. You showed it for me and my wife. Do you remember that? It was upstairs in your movie room.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was
Ooh.
right after watching Dazed and Confused too.
That's
So we
right.
had a Matthew McConaughey kind of double feature. So that was cool.
All right.
But yeah,
There you
this movie has a problem with connecting with the audience, as we've kind of mentioned.
Mm.
There's a lot of surface level stuff that's never delved into. You take even the kids, he's like taken care of. You know, they do the cute scene from Empire Strikes Back, and you're like, oh, that's
Yeah.
cute. But the kids are never in a movie today. They would focus on 2 or 3 of the kids, even give them
That's true.
names or something like that. But you have no investment in these children. You just know them as a group of children, that are crying at different times and they need protection. But there's no like, wow, I feel sorry for little Joey there. I mean, that kind of, for me, expands out to like some of the science in the movie, which is fantastic. Like even it's such a quick little mention, but like how a dragon actually breathes fire. They mention how it has two, breathes out the gas first and then it ignites it. That's so cool to actually like
Yeah.
break that down and tell that to a viewer because, we've seen Dragonheart with Peter McNichol or Dragon Slayer, which even worse, or Dragon Slayer, both bad. But they never explain what a dragon actually scientifically does.
Yeah.
Now, the whole science behind, a male's awakened and he's able to find female eggs all over the place. I don't know how that happened. That's kind of wild.
It's like a salmon, like a fish.
Kind of, but how is he finding these eggs? Where are these females awakened from? I have no clue.
The same way Godzilla found himself all the way to New York to meet Matthew
That's
Matthew
a female.
Broderick.
Matthew Broderick. Yeah.
Ended up being a big female. And and I appreciate that. It's just like it's just glossed over. And
Yeah.
the Christian Bale, turn from a passive aggressive all of a sudden. I'll
Action
take you to
hero.
London.
Yeah.
I'll take you to I'll be your Huckleberry and I'll take you to London Chief. That kind of thing. It's like, really, how did he turn that quick? And Alex, our stoic helicopter pilot, all of a sudden becomes the like damsel in distress. It's like, oh, I'm scared to be here.
Yeah.
And it's little turns like that. It's like, wait a second, what happened there? And I guess Matthew McConaughey stays the same, but he felt so almost cartoonish. They make a little throwaway line saying, "Oh, he doesn't feel anything." It's like, okay,
He felt something that night.
exactly. He was like,
letting him have it.
He had tears in his eyes. They must have put some like glycerin in his eyeballs, but like, I mean, he was just give it to him, like you say. But he kind of like, he is what he is, and he kind of makes the movie. Like I was saying, the cast, he's kind of the star for me. He's the most memorable part.
Yeah, he's the Quint.
Everything about it, as far as the like, Molly said earlier about the color palette. It's very bleh. There's nothing exciting and interesting about the setting that 80% of the movie takes place in, and even when they get to fight the big bad in London, you're still kind of left just, I don't know, for an hour and 40-minute movie, it felt too quick. And I don't say that often, but there wasn't enough expanded on. And I know it's another one of those movies where I'm like torn between knowing more science or just seeing him kill dragons. But it's just, there was something missing there. And like Molly said, there is something that's not connecting or missing that I can't put my finger on. So I hate watching something like this and being like, God, why didn't this succeed? 16 million? Why?
Yeah.
But that's what happens.
Yeah.
Well, this had a Svengali effect on me because when Molly first mentioned, I thought, "Oh, great! This is gonna be fun to riff on. This is perfect."
Yeah.
And so, and I realized the first time I saw this, I was excited about it, and I saw it in the theater. And as I was watching it, that's the Svengali thing cooking. Like, this is a really great movie. I love this.
Hmm.
And then the minute it was over, I'm like, hey, that wasn't that good, you know? And I remember feeling that way in 2002. And, you know, the interesting phenomenon is when I watched it again for Molly's show here, I was like, the same thing happened. Okay, this is going to be fun. We're going to goof on it. It's going to be great. I remember all these cool scenes with McConaughey. And as I'm watching, I'm like, my God, this is a really good movie.
Hmm.
And then when the movie was over and the credits were on, I was like, wait a minute, that
So
wasn't really that good. It's interesting when
Yeah.
when you're in it, you're kind of absorbed. But when you try to go back and look at it from the outside in,
Yeah.
you can't quantify what exactly is wrong with it. And
Hmm.
it's still
yeah,
bugging me even right now talking about it. There's nothing about this film that should not suggest it's good, right?
Hmm.
It has all the elements of things I like, as you guys have already mentioned, the science and the story and the plot, but it just something just didn't click. I can't even I can't even put my finger on it even now.
Yeah.
you feel like there's some scenes in the cutting room floor too.
Yep.
Like, you know,
Yeah,
even you see Quinn like take the egg out of the dead female, and he's like looking
Hmm.
at it like, what's he gonna do with that? You know, like, what's this? Where's this leading? But it
yeah.
went nowhere. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
well, there went that. You know, it's like
Well,
I
Yeah.
don't.
so
There were just there was it just seemed like there was more they could have delved into. But
Yeah.
like I said, it may have been. It's when you say it's a summer release, maybe they had that in their mind, thinking this is for popcorn people. You know, just pop
yeah,
out there.
just
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. Ultimately, a little disappointing, but still a fun watch. And
Yeah,
Molly, you've broken our brain. Thank you very much. We can't
we're
decide
confused.
we don't even know what we think about this one, guys. So,
I don't even know if I like the Tool like end credit song. I couldn't quite
yeah,
put my. It's like this is an interesting choice.
I think this is a grumpy nostalgia first. We don't know what we think.
Yeah.
Shit.
Very
Well,
mixed feelings.
all right, well,
Yes.
maybe that's got something to do with the time that it came out. So as we've stated very, you know, numerous times on the show, we don't think there's any bad movies. There's just movies we don't like, and we're finding as grumpy old jerks that a lot of the movies that we don't like were made after 2000, the year 2000, and we don't necessarily think it's the movie's fault. We think that the movies are kind of targeted towards a different demographic, and we just kind of got left behind. So a lot of current movies after that, with very few exceptions, and we'll get to some of those here as we go
Justin,
through.
what year was The Postman?
1997,
Damn it, that was
close
pre
enough.
2000.
It was like a
We'll throw it over
precursor.
the millennial edge.
Yeah,
That's
it
cool.
was like the pitcher, you know, throwing warm ups. But
Okay, there we
but
go.
the
Warning
point
shot.
is that when the millennial clock ticked over, some of our enthusiasm for film started to die, and we don't think it's the movie's fault. I think it's just a generational thing. But to that point, we decided to bring our friend Molly in to help us do this list. We're trying to
Uh-oh.
get out of our shell. We're trying to warm up. We had Kevin, the movie guy, on a couple of episodes ago, and he's talking about all these great movies he's been seeing, and you know, he kind of enlightened us and pushed our boundaries a little bit to maybe consider taking movies after that year a little more seriously.
Do you find quick aside?
Yeah.
Didn't you find it interesting that the movies he picked? I think all five of them were like art house kind of independent movies that were
Ooh.
didn't make a lot of money, but the movies we picked from 84 and 94 were all
All
like
blockbusters.
big
Yeah.
budget blockbusters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
I
think
found that interesting, just a comparison.
yeah, and I think the small art house movie has been relatively consistent. You know, I don't have the patience for those as much as I used to, but I think I think movies that are dedicated to plot development and character development are still good. I think that's immune to kind of generational shifts. But the blockbuster is another story, and we'll kind of get to that. So, speaking of blockbusters, so the fact that Molly picked this movie from 2002, and we're trying to ease our way into the 21st century as grumpy old jerks, we have a staggered kind of roadmap to get there. The road to recovery is a long one, Molly, but we're going to use you a little bit to help us get there. So we decided we kind of test our knowledge of movies that came out, you know, in years after. So we're going to start with the year that this movie came out. So we're going to do another edition of Film Fan Fight Club, where we're going to look at the top 20 blockbusters from 2002 and just see how many we've actually seen. So I'm guessing Molly was probably 5 or 6 years old in the year 2002. Somewhere.
Close.
Was she
Close.
born?
A lady never tells, Mike. But
That's true.
Yeah.
we're going to handicap this a little bit for Molly. So it's going to be very just kind of binary. If we've seen the movie, we get a point. If we haven't, we get no points. But Molly, if you've seen the
Do we
movie,
get an extra point if we saw it at the theater?
Molly gets an extra point.
Ooh.
Okay.
Molly will get an extra point to
That's-
handicap her because
2002.
we've seen too many movies. But
Mm.
because Molly would have been a little younger, maybe a little more difficult to see. But if she sees the movie in the theater, she gets
2002.
that'll be her.
Excellent.
She'll get odds based on that methodology. So I'm just going to go through the top 20 list.
I have a bad feeling because I tuned out of music in May of '96, and I think I tuned out of movies in probably 2000. So this is going to be tough.
Ooh.
All the more reason to have a movie podcast where we claim to be experts, Mike.
It's nostalgia.
Okay, very good. All right, so let's start at the bottom and work our way up to the top. So the first movie on the list here is Sweet Home Alabama, the top 20. No, I'm
No.
proud to announce that no one got any points.
I've been in the room when my wife watched it, but I didn't watch it.
That should I get you a half point for that, maybe. I don't know. The next one on the list, this doesn't have to be in the theater, guys. It can just be at all. So
Okay.
the next one here is Mr. Deeds. That's that one where
No.
Adam Sandler makes all those funny noises.
That was a top 20 movie because that was a bomb too.
That was number 19 at the box office that year.
Oh,
Wow.
poor John Turturro.
Okay, I have seen this one.
Okay,
I don't know
that should
why.
count as a negative point, right?
Negative brain cells, maybe.
Oh well.
Nope, didn't see that one.
Okay. All right. So I'm winning. The next one on the list is The Ring.
Ooh, I have not.
I've seen the Japan version and the American
Okay,
version.
I've seen the American version. Molly?
No, I have
No?
not. I'm not a horror person though. Like, ugh,
Yeah,
kind of
you
creeps
could
me
probably
out.
afford to miss this one. The next one on the list is a Spielberg here, Minority Report.
Ooh, I have seen this one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Was
I've seen
that
it.
at home or in the theater, Molly?
Oh, at home.
Okay.
I probably saw it in like 2008 because I would have been a little young in 2002.
Molly's on the board. The next one on the
Yes.
list is the Santa
brag.
Claus. The Santa Claus 2, number 2, not
Yeah.
2. Molly seen that one?
Not in theaters, but yes, I
Okay.
have seen it.
Mike?
Nope, no way, no how.
Not a big Tim Allen fan, I'm guessing.
Not a
It
sequel fan.
was all right.
All right, the next one on the list is number 15, Triple X.
Oh, wow,
Oh.
I missed that one
Is
too.
this the Vin Diesel one?
It's a Vin Diesel vehicle, Justin.
Okay. Goose Eggs.
Goose eggs.
Wasn't Triple X Barbara Bach's code name in Spy?
That's
Spy
right.
Movie?
Yeah, that's her Russian code name.
There you go. So I remember. Number 14 that year was Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah. Not in theaters though.
Okay.
Wow, never seen that.
Yeah. Nope.
It's pretty good for a Disney movie,
Yeah. I'll take your word for it on that.
especially
next-
considering what Disney's offering us now. So
this is true.
Yeah,
I think there actually is a live version of this coming out too, isn't there? I think there's a
there?
live version that's coming out.
they need
Yeah.
to just stop,
There is.
like something new.
What, Mike, did you hear it? I hear the grumpy.
I am. It's glorious. Thank you so
Um,
much, Molly.
One
You're
of
welcome.
us.
Yes, one of us.
Baby's all grown up. I love it.
Don't Molly. Don't get cynical too early. I tell my daughter the same thing. Just let it gradually take control of you as you get older.
Yes,
Enjoy the ride, is what we're saying.
excellent.
All right, number 13 on the list for 2002 was Die Another Day.
Mm-mm.
Another day. Is that
Not a-
that's still Pierce Brosnan?
That's a
right?
Pierce Brosnan Bond film, yeah.
I don't think I saw that. I saw Goldeneye, but I didn't see any of the
Wow.
sequels after that.
Okay. All right, the next one here is Fellowship of the Ring. That was carryover from 2001. It was still the top box office in 2002.
Well,
So I think we're-
yeah,
Of course.
I think
I think
we're
we
I
good
did
there.
see that
every
one in
form
theaters too.
See,
So-
there you go. Molly got 2. Considering the fact that we covered this all together on our last podcast,
Yeah.
one of our last letter podcasts, so that's an easy one. Number 11 that year was Scooby Doo.
No.
I've seen that.
So
Unfortunately,
I've seen that one. Yeah, that's sad. Number 10 that year was Beautiful Mind.
yeah,
No.
Saw
It's
that
on my
movie.
list though.
it's
That's
a
good one.
great. It's real. I know it's
Russell
corny
Crowe?
because it's
Yeah.
Okay.
it's Ron Howard, so you got a little corniness to it,
Okay.
but it's really well done, and it's a true story. I mean, it
Yeah.
really didn't didn't have to change any of the storyline to make it an interesting kind of screenplay.
Nice.
Mike, I got to ask you, since this is a Ron Howard film, was there a Clint Howard appearance in this one? Did we talk about this one yet?
I think he's eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich when he's in one of the scenes where they're at Princeton in 1950. Yeah.
Molly, Clint Howard was Ron Howard's brother, and
Ah.
and the rest of the audience too. He played a little character named Leon in the Andy Griffith Show. Little boy would he never said a word the entire run of the show. He would just show up as a cameo and offer people some. He'd always be eating a sandwich.
Oh my gosh!
He'd always offer half of the sandwich to whoever was looking at him.
He plays a really creepy child alien too in the original Star Trek series. That can talk. He doesn't say any words, but he has a voiceover that just talks through people's brains.
Molly, I'll send you a video link to that, but tomorrow
Excellent.
morning. I don't want you to see that before you go to bed tonight.
He's in like 4 or 5 Adam Sandler movies too.
Yeah,
So
I want to give you one more night of peaceful sleep before you see that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, back. We digress. The number 9 movie that year was Ice Age.
Yeah, I did see that one in theaters.
Okay, there's
probably.
2
yeah, I watched it with my daughter.
The animation style I didn't like. I didn't bother watching that, but I like Ray Romano, so I should probably give it a try. So Mike's got 1, I got 0. Number 8 that year was Men in Black 2.
Yeah,
I have seen that
unfortunately.
one.
Molly,
I saw it in the
I didn't
theater.
catch that. Molly, you said you hadn't seen that?
I have seen it, but not
Okay.
in theaters.
All right, I saw that. Was less than impressed. I guess when you have to have Johnny Knoxville as a villain, you
Yeah.
you might have jumped the shark. Number 7 was Goldmember, Austin Powers Goldmember.
No.
I saw it.
I saw that as well. Yeah,
Eh.
yeah. Number 6 was The Two Towers. I'm guessing we've all covered that. Molly,
Of course.
that's a theater one. For
Not
you.
in theaters, unfortunately.
Really? I'm surprised.
Okay. So, well, we all went to see Fellowship when I was, probably like 10.
Oh, that's right.
And
I
then
remember
my mom
this.
was
Yeah.
my mom was like, it's too scary.
Mom hit the
So we
brakes,
weren't-
right?
Yeah, we weren't allowed to go see.
Too
My dad
scary.
Yeah. Okay, fair
went
enough.
without us.
The next number 5 was My Big Fat Greek Yogurt.
Oh, that is a
Anybody see
no.
it? That's a no. And yes, I know I said yogurt. It's wedding, but
Yeah, I have seen it once.
all right,
a long
there you
time ago.
Molly.
There you go.
Good job.
Good for you.
Yeah,
Number
was
4
fine.
was the M. Night Shyamalan epic Signs.
I have seen that one,
Okay.
but in 2010, not 2002.
It's fine. You still get your
It's
point.
fine.
Just add water, Justin. Just add water.
Yeah,
Yes.
the movie where the aliens are horrified of water, so they land on a planet covered 78% of it. Okay. The next one is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen that one. I couldn't tell you what happened in it.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I saw it.
So one of the things we
Chamber
talked
of
about on
Secrets.
several podcasts ago were why are we so grumpy and why would younger people make fun of us for being grumpy and complaining? And a lot of that's got to do with we're angry at our culture being co-opted and remade and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So we said when this starts happening to you guys, you're going to feel it. So that's starting to happen. So they've started making castings for the new Harry Potter reboot.
TV
Yep.
show or something,
Enjoy.
right?
Yeah, it's going to be an HBO
Yeah.
series, long form, I'm
Hmm.
guessing. And I think they just cast Dumbledore.
Who
And
is it? Do we know?
Is it a black woman?
No, it's the villain from Cliffhanger, Mike.
John Lithgow?
John Lithgow is going to be.
Does he have his
Dumbledore.
wig? Does he wear wigs?
He's gonna have to wear a wig.
Wow.
So there you go.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, there you go. Welcome to our world.
I think they're just this week they're showing all the Harry Potter movies at theaters. Like
Yeah, I
you
saw
know,
Really?
that.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, all in a row. Like a different one each night. It's kind of
I don't know if that's
I made it all the way through except for the last 2. I didn't see the finale, so I don't know how it ends. So don't spoil it for me.
don't spoil it. Okay, I won't tell you about Snape. So it was a big plot twist.
All right. So number 2 on the charts was Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
Oh, I did see that one in theaters. Yeah,
You saw that? in theaters?
Wow.
I
All right,
did.
Molly,
Yeah,
way to go.
Nice.
we saw all the prequels in theaters.
Yeah, good for you.
That was a big deal.
What did you think of them as watching?
Me?
Was it the first time you saw Star Wars movies, or is this had you already seen 4, 5, and 6?
No, we did see 4. So we actually saw 4, 5, and 6 probably because the Phantom Menace was 99.
Yeah.
So I think we watched, like, my parents actually were like, we should watch the originals first. So we watched the originals, and then we went to go see them in theaters.
Okay.
Yeah. I always like trying to find people who actually watched them first time in order. That'd be kind of cool to,
Yeah.
find somebody that actually thought, wow, 1, 2, and 3 are great. And they watched 4, 5, and 6. And they're like,
whoa.
Mind blown.
This is how it can be.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. And the number one film that year was Spider-Man.
Saw that one, but not in theaters.
Okay.
Yes, saw that one for sure. Another remake, kind of. I guess that's
they've remade that one like 4 times.
That origin story. I think it's on its 5th or 6th time.
Yeah.
If you count the animated series they just came out of, it's like just I can't keep up.
Yeah.
Give up.
All right. So here's the tally, guys.
This generation.
For those keeping score at home, our big winner here is, of course, Molly.
Surprise!
With her multiplier, she got 15 points. So
it was rigged from the start.
It's all rigged. Mike, you and I, of course, as always, have tied. Tied at 13. I don't know how we've never not had the same score on these. It's getting a little creepy.
That's hilarious.
But so there you go. That's 2002 in a nutshell. Not a total whitewash. There's a few gems in here, Mike. So that was kind of the point, just to break through the membrane and let us shed a couple layers of grumpy and be exposed to. There's still good movies out there.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. We saw more than half the movies from that year, and I didn't have a bad opinion of any of them, but except for maybe Scooby Doo, of all those.
The Santa Claus too.
So maybe we're on our way. We're on a journey of self-discovery, Mike. We're starting to figure out that we can be a little less grumpy, and maybe it's not so bad. Or it's just justification that we've got a benchmark now. We've got a frame of reference to say.
There you go.
Yeah, but
I tell you what. Let's do a list of the top 20 movies from like 1992 and 1982, and I bet we probably saw all 20 of them, and then we were like, "Ooh, I liked all those."
Yeah,
right.
Possibly.
Yeah,
with some exceptions, but it would be probably a little bit more our wheelhouse.
Stay tuned to Jerk Up in Nostalgia for the exciting results.
Oh,
there you go.
Wow. I'm on the edge of my seat.
So Molly, we want to thank you again for picking this movie, because it was a perfect opportunity to morph into our new self-improvement. So we're hoping that
it was a good guy movie. Loving and kissing and stuff.
Kissing junk. But just like that, it's already over, Molly. It went by really quick.
Yeah.
But so before we head out, let's do a little housekeeping. So if you're interested in anything about the show for some reason, you can check out our Instagram page. That's at Grumpy Nostalgia. You can send us an email at nostalgiagrumps@gmail.com. Check out our YouTube page. Maybe you'll be the one.
Please, come on.
So,
talk to us. Wait, you can impugn us. You can just laugh at us. Point fingers, argue with any points we make on this show. Yeah. Suggest a movie you want us to do and that you think is your sacred cow.
Say something, or we're going to get a little more aggressive.
I know. We're going to get mad at you.
We got a lot of problems with you people. The Festivus is coming. We're going to air our grievances. But so you can check out that. Also, me and Mike are working on a special series, Grumpy the Nostalgia Remembers Only, just like the jacket. Where me and Mike are get a couple shows in the can. There'll be smaller mini episodes where we talk about other topics of our era, our formative years of the 70s to the 90s. We'll be talking about things like TV and candy and
old people stuff,
and Saturday morning cartoons, all the stuff that helped us with our formative years. So we'll be launching that series here very quickly. So
Justin, let me ask you, what's your favorite cereal?
Shut up, you pedo.
Uncle Paul.
So make sure you check out Molly's. Molly's at Molly's Music on Instagram. She's also going to be starting her in the very near future. She's going to kickstart her bakery. It will be kicking back up again, I think, for some of the.
Yes.
That's at Fire and Breadstone. Go check out some of her amazing bakes and recipes. We encourage everybody to check out Molly. Molly, again, it's great to see you. Thanks for coming back.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it won't be 9 months before our return. So we'll have to hold us to that. So
okay,
that's how long it takes a male dragon to fertilize female eggs.
Very meta. All right, so that's going to kind of wrap it up for this show, guys. And Mike, anything else you want to say before we get out of here today?
Dig hard, dig deep, and let me stand next to your fire.
Well said, Mike. So for Mike, James, and Molly, this is Justin, and we will see you again next time.